Corey, would you make it the final drive in regulation and then also in overtime? Obviously, it's not what you guys would have liked.
Yeah, I think, they had, I think it was just over 2 minutes left, they had a 2-minute warning. Kind of thought they'd start with a run or quick game or something to get the drive going there right before the 2-minute warning. They threw up the shot, good throw, kid makes a one-on-one play. After that, I thought we really settled down. We got him at third, and I think it was third and 19. They hit the check down. I thought we got to clean up our depth a little bit. Thought our direction delivery underneath, we got to be a little bit faster to contain that, more fourth and off track, and then we get the penalty. And I don't know, we're in a situation to win the game there, and then gets them into field goal range. I still think it's going to be a long field goal. The quarterback scrambles out, gets it to be about a 50-yarder, and then the last play, they complete the pass and makes it a little bit more manageable, and they hit the field goal there. But situation, we got to get off the field. We got to win the 1-on-1. I think gone through what coverages, what else to call there, what to be in. It's gonna be a 1-on-1 in almost everything you call right there. I thought one thing that stood out going back and watching other games. They made some of those 1-on-1 plays, and they hadn't made maybe some of those plays in the past couple of weeks or past couple of games, and they won a couple more 1-on-1s this week, and we just could get back down to the fundamentals and the techniques and make those stops in those situations.
Anything in overtime? Obviously, trying to force a field goal at least.
Yeah, I think we knew they were going to run the football. We didn't think they were going to throw the football. The first one, they went quarterback run. We got to get the extra hat in. I thought there, we put the help on the other side of the defense and stop play. They take the will linebacker out. They run the lead block with the tailback, and we're nervous about getting a wheel again in that situation. Linebacker goes to carry that. We got to get the safety down the fit. I thought it was a good call by them. After that, we got to knock the line scrimmage back. I think they had negative rushing yards in the first 60 minutes, and ran for 25 yards in overtime. We can't let that happen. We got to respond in those situations, and we got to finish the game better there.
They seem to do a real good job of putting a lot of stress on the defense in the secondary. They threw the ball, I think like 90% of the time. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's pretty close to that probably.
Yeah.
And they were throwing it. And it seemed at times there was a little confusion in the back. Was that a result of just how much they were throwing at you guys? I mean, you probably couldn't possibly prepare for that.
Yeah, I think, the two halves were very different. I think the first half, they stuck to what they did. And, going back through and watching, no matter what game it was, the first half, I think, was very similar to what they had shown tendency-wise. And, I thought, they tried to run the ball, they tried to get on track, or they'd go quick game, or they had a couple shots they threw at us out of unbalanced formations. And I thought they did a couple of good things scheme-wise in the first half, and I thought our guys responded really well. They hit the wheel early. We peaked in the backfield, and they went unbalanced and ran a double move, and our guys responded. We got a 3-and-out after that play. We responded, forced them to punt, and I thought our guys responded really well to some of the junk or some of the different pictures that they maybe hadn't shown on film. And we got off in those situations. And then second half, I feel like, really probably right away, I felt like they kind of abandoned the run and just went to, trying to figure out what our coverage was going to be, take access throws if they were there. If they weren't there, they were going to throw up some one-on-ones and throw up some shots. And I thought they won some of those situations. And it's one of those things, our guys made a lot of really good plays. There were some challenge balls and linebackers on safeties, on the nickel, where our guys won a lot of plays, and there were a couple that they won. Those are plays that, I think we wish we had back right now. But I think it was the most he's thrown the ball since the conference championship game the year before. I think he threw it 50 times in that game. I think he threw it 45 times in our game. Jennings made throws in this game. I don't think he threw it maybe the same way a couple of the other games. I thought he was on point, and their guys made some good contested catches. There's a couple throws that they come down with where our guys are playing through the hands. They're right there and stuck with them. There's a couple times our guys are breaking, and before they hit the ground, our guys are driving through them and trying to punch the ball out. They made a couple big plays. And, those are the situations we just got to respond. And then, we got to, I thought when they got the tempo going, we got to do a better job of, settling down and just, playing within the defense. I thought a couple times he pushed the pocket and scrambled, and we got to fit within our scramble rules a little bit more.
Let's follow up to that. There's so much focus in football, obviously a 50-50 run balance by offenses. When somebody goes that far in the other direction, doesn't it almost make it more difficult to defend?
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest thing is we got to get them off track. When they, I think that's what their plan was. Let's just treat first, second down, see if we can get a play. Because I think, they converted the first third down of the game, and then they went 0 for 10, really until the final drive. And if we got them ahead of the stick, or we got them behind the sticks, we felt very good about it. And when they started to get going, there were times where we got them back off track as they went tempo, especially in the first half. I thought our guys did a really good job. We settled down, we had some calls, and I thought our guys played really well with it. And the first drive of the second half, I think our guys, we think we take the football away, we go back out, they get a drive starter, and then they make a guy miss a tackle, and then we lose contain, they push the pocket, and I thought the quarterback made a couple of really good football plays. And I think that's who that kid is. I mean, there's a reason why that was a playoff team last year. The quarterback's a very good football player. And I thought he stepped up and made a couple really good plays on that drive. I thought our guys settled down. I thought, we had a couple series we put back to back. We played really well, and then, I thought they got going a little bit after that. And I think, we got to do a better job of rotating more guys, keep our guys fresh on the field. I felt that in the second half a little bit, and that was, maybe similar to what it was with the Florida State game. We got to continue to rotate guys. And as hard as it is to take some of the guys off the field, we got really good players on our roster that we got to continue to put them in some of these situations and keep our guys fresh for those end of game situations. And but I thought there's a couple contested balls, there's a couple like the one on Key's right there. There's one on Mo, I think he's right there. Same thing, there's one on the sideline. I think we got two guys flying in to make the hit. One time we have a quarterback, we're clean on the blitz, we lose contain. He makes a play with his feet, we come out of coverage. And it's just, some of those things that we got to clean up there, in that really fourth quarter.
The neat thing on the quarterback, after watching the film and talking to could you explain to us what exactly happened here?
Yeah, I think, we called the timeout. I think one official, the official on our sideline blew the whistle, and their guards are blocking our interior defenders. The edge guys are still blocking. I think once he's heard it or realized what was going on, he's holding the quarterback up. I don't know, that changes the game a little bit, puts them in field goal range. So I feel very good about where we are in that situation. We get them off track. And I don't know.
So how would you say, just in general, right, there's 4 games left, lots of football left. How would you say the vibe is with your side of the ball here this week, obviously coming off the loss, and then also your side of the ball is playing well, and the offense is kind of trying to figure things out on their side and just maintaining that team aspect of not pointing fingers and getting down and continuing the strong effort moving forward.
No, we're all in this thing together. Everything works together. The offense, the defense, the special teams. I'm very, very confident in what we do on offense. In practice, our offense, I still feel week to week is the best team we play. The talent that we have on that side of the football, how coach runs it, the job that Coach Dawson does, we have all the belief in the world that we're going to get the ball, we're going to score. Special teams, I think those guys do a great job. We've done some really good job in the return game on special teams, setting us up, having the offense backed up as we start drives. And defensively, I think we had really good meetings today. Obviously, no one walked in all happy, and it's just what it is. We lost the game this past weekend, put ourselves in a tough spot. But I thought we had really productive meetings. We'll continue to get things cleaned up. I thought our guys played really fast. I thought we played, really good football there for most of the game. There's a couple things we got to get cleaned up. They made a couple plays. And that's the hard thing in football. I think they had some really good football players too. Tight ends, really good football player. Those backs can run. Wide receivers were good, talented players. They won a couple of the one-on-ones against us. We want them back, but that's the game of football. And now it's just get back to it, play with good technique, continue to communicate. We got to get a couple of situational things cleaned up. And, I think our guys had a really good walkthrough today. And I think we're looking forward to being 1-0 against Syracuse this week.
Mario said that OJ is probably out for a few more weeks at least. What do you think about Xavier, Damari, and Ethan who are able to step up in his role.
Yeah, I said it last week. I think you look at it like we have 4 starters there, and I think we have really good young players. I don't even think twice about what guys on the field. We're going to call the defense the same way. It doesn't matter which guy's playing, right or left, or boundary field, or what the matchup is. I'm very, very confident in those guys in that position.
And then, looking at Syracuse, just what stands out about their offense? Obviously, they've been struggling a lot since their starting quarterback got hurt.
Yeah, I think when you watch them, it's different week to week. Watch them against Tennessee, watch them against Clemson, and the way that they came out and started fast against Clemson. I think they had special teams. They got the ball. They got a short field. They went down and scored. I think their running backs do a really good job. You watch Georgia Tech. The first play of the game is almost a touchdown. Backs out. I think they run the ball really well. I do think they have good skill on the perimeter. I think a couple of guys have been battling injury. I'm not sure whether we'll see them this week or not, but I do think they have, they win the one-on-ones early in the season. They're doing a really good job there, and then the quarterback plays I'm not sure who we're going to see. I think they've done some good things there. Last week I think obviously they struggled at that position, but I think it's first time he's played. I think now he'll have a game under a little bit more experience. He'll have some more situational things that he went through last week and able to learn from. And I'm not sure we're going to prepare for everyone. It's almost like going into the first game of the season. You see different things today going on there at Syracuse, and then obviously personnel-wise, who's going to be the quarterback, who's healthy. And you're getting to that point in the season right now where every week you're playing for certain guys. You're not really sure who's really going to be on the field, who's not going to be on the field. Obviously we had a couple injuries this past week, and I thought our guys really responded to this. I mean it when I say I think we have really good depth. We have some younger guys that I think could have played more. We have some younger guys I think can go handle that situation right now, and I'm not going to think twice about the call we make because I trust the guys that are on the field. You look like Mondo. Mondo's playing 3 technique. He's in there like nose guard. He's in there at end, and I don't think twice. He plays really well. Same thing with the corners, the safeties. Fitz is out there. I know he's going to make the play, and I feel like that at all 3 levels on defense right now.
On that, but Justin Scott and Ahmad Moten getting more time, or Justin Scott and Dr. Simpson getting time with Ahmad Moten not playing last week. Just your thoughts on how they did and what they can potentially do with.
Yeah, I thought Justin Scott played really well. You watch when he went out there, he did a couple things this week where you can see his growth. He makes the really good play, the hustle play against Notre Dame where he gets the ball out on the sideline. And then every week when you take his clips and you watch how he's developing and growing, and some weeks it's a lot of reps, some weeks it's not as many reps, but you watch his development and his movement this weekend, and he gets a one-on-one, he gets a PBU, he wins his one-on-one against the line of scrimmage, and there's a couple times in the run game he knocks the line of scrimmage back, and his footwork is much better, his pad level is much better. I think he's growing with more confidence right now, and he's a guy I'm excited to see what he does this week. And as the season goes and progresses, same thing with Dante. He's a guy that I thought he had a really good spring football camp. I thought he played pretty well, and then you get in a situation where now there's pressure. It's a scrimmage, or it's a game against a different color jersey, or it's a different stadium, or all of a sudden it gets a lot, and your eyes get a little bit bigger. And I think now he has more experience, he has more game reps, and I think he's settled down in that situation. I think same thing with him. You're seeing him play more confident. He's coming off the ball faster. He's doing a better job with his hands and his strike. And I think he's playing with more awareness now as he grows that confidence.